smart, 16, and she wants to be different, but she wants to fit in like any normal teenager.
Before it became forever linked to one of Hollywood's most chilling tragedies, My Sister Sam was a breezy CBS sitcom with a surprisingly strange backstory. A theme song by a rock legend, a lead actress who moved her co-star into her own home, a stalker carrying the catcher in the rye, and 12 episodes that simply vanished from television. Here are 15 weird facts you didn't know about My Sister Sam. Fact 1. The show had a completely different name.
She has PPT.
What?
Pre-party tension.
Most people who watched My Sister Sam never knew that the show almost went on the air under a completely different name. When writers Stephen Fisher and Diane English first developed the concept back in late 1985, they titled it Taking the Town, a phrase they pulled directly from the expression taking the town by storm. The idea behind that title was simple. The show was about a young photographer building her life in the big city, and the name felt like a natural fit for that kind of story. CBS liked what they saw, pitched the pilot, and slotted it into their fall 1986 Monday night lineup under that original title. Promotional planning was already underway with Taking the Town as the official name when the decision was made to change course. As the summer pre-promotion campaign started ramping up, the network quietly swapped in My Sister Sam and never looked back. Here is where it gets a little strange, though. When they changed the title, they created a small but real problem for themselves because there was nobody named Sam in the original pilot. The main character, played by Pam Dauber, was named Chris, not Samantha. Once the new title was locked in, the writers had to go back and rework the pilot to make the name work, changing the lead character's name to Samantha, so the show's title would actually make sense. According to a 1986 review published by UPI, the original pilot that had been shown to television critics over the summer was quietly scrapped, and a revised version was ordered to replace it before the show's October 6th debut. So the title change was not just cosmetic, it triggered a rewrite of the entire pilot episode. Fact 2. Rebecca Schaefer was discovered on a magazine cover.
I'll go with 30. How about you?
Deal.
Rebecca Schaefer's path to landing the role of Patty on My Sister, Sam, did not follow the usual route of auditions and callbacks that most young actors go through. Instead, it began with a magazine cover. Schaefer had been working as a model while also trying to break into acting, and at some point, she appeared on the cover of 17 magazine. That cover caught the attention of television producers at Warner Brothers, who were in the middle of casting a new CBS sitcom starring Pam Dauber. They reached out, and Schaefer was invited to fly out to Los Angeles to test for the part. What makes this even more interesting is where Schaefer was in her life at that point. She had recently returned from a stint in Japan, where she had gone hoping to find more modeling work, but her height, 5 feet 7 inches, had continued to be a sticking point, with high fashion agencies that considered her too short. Back in New York, she was working as a waitress to pay the bills while chasing acting jobs on the side. She had also just finished shooting a small role in a Woody Allen film that ended up being nearly entirely cut from the final edit. So when the phone rang with news that a Warner Brothers sitcom wanted to meet with her, it came at a time when things had not been going especially smoothly. She flew to Los Angeles, tested for the role, and won the part of Patricia Russell, a free-spirited 16-year-old from Oregon who moves to San Francisco to live with her older sister. The show would go on to become the most significant role of her career, and it all started because someone at a production company happened to notice her face on a magazine rack. Fact 3. Schaefer turned down a soap opera contract to wait.
You're kidding, right? Aching kiss? Does that mean anything to you? No.
Before Rebecca Schaefer ever set foot on the set of My Sister Sam, she was handed an opportunity that most young actresses just starting out in the industry would have jumped at without hesitation. Shortly after arriving in New York City to pursue her career, Schaefer was offered a multi-year contract on a daytime soap opera called Loving, which was an ABC drama that had been running since 1983. A guaranteed contract on a network soap opera meant steady work, steady pay, and real visibility, the kind of offer that could take years to come around. She turned it down. In a December 1986 interview with the Chicago Sun-Times, Schaefer explained her thinking in a way that she admitted might sound overconfident to some people. She said that because the offer had come so quickly after she moved to New York, she figured that if she could land something like that so fast, it might be worth waiting around for something she actually wanted to do. Her exact words in the interview were that she did not want to sound cocky, but the speed of the offer made her think she should hold out for something better. That instinct paid off in a significant way. Within a relatively short time after passing on the soap opera role, she got the call about My Sister Sam and flew to Los Angeles for the audition that changed her career. The show debuted in October 1986 and became a solid hit in its first season, landing in the top 25 shows on all of television. It is the kind of gamble that could have gone badly wrong, but for Schaefer, the patience and self-belief she showed early on ended up being completely justified. Fact 4. Schaefer actually moved in with Pam Dauber.
Nice try, but you're going to school.
The sneeze was a really nice touch, though.
When audiences watched Rebecca Schaefer and Pam Dauber interact on screen as sisters in My Sister Sam, the chemistry between them felt unusually genuine, and there was a very specific reason for that. During the production of the show, Schaefer was not living in her own apartment across town and coming in for work each day like most cast members would. She was actually living in the same home as Pam Dauber offset, sharing a house with her co-star during the run of the series. What makes this detail even more interesting is that Dauber was not living alone at the time. She was in a relationship with actor Mark Harmon, who would later become famous worldwide as the lead of NCIS, and the two were sharing a home together. So Schaefer was not just bunking with a co-worker, she was moving into the household of one of the most recognized actresses on television and her well-known partner. According to multiple accounts of Schaefer's life from people who knew her during that period, the arrangement worked well, and the two women genuinely became close during the time they spent together, both on the set and away from it. That closeness translated directly into what audiences were seeing on screen. The warmth and ease between the two characters did not come entirely from skilled acting. It came partly from the fact that the women portraying those characters had actually been living as a kind of household unit together. Schaefer later spoke warmly about her time working alongside Dauber and described her experience on the show as something she deeply valued. The off-screen bond between the two performers gave the on-screen sisterhood a foundation that was very real. Fact 5. The star was also the producer.
Hey, can we have a little sister-to-sister, one-on-one?
Yeah.
Good.
Pam Dauber is most widely remembered for playing Mindy on the long-running ABC sitcom Mork and Mindy, which ran from 1978 to 1982 alongside Robin Williams. After that show ended, many people assumed she would simply move on to the next acting job. What most viewers never knew was that by the time My Sister Sam came along, Dauber was not just the lead actress. She was also the co-producer of the show, operating through her own production company. The company was called Pony Productions, and Dauber had set it up specifically to give herself more control over the kinds of projects she was involved in. She did not want to simply wait for roles to come to her. She wanted to be actively involved in developing the shows and films she appeared in. By the time My Sister Sam was in development, Dauber and her agent Mimi Weber had already spent roughly 3 years searching for the right project for Pony Productions to put into motion. They reviewed a number of scripts and concepts during that time, and Dauber later said publicly that she had gone through many of them without finding one that truly spoke to her. When writers Stephen Fisher and Diane English brought the concept that would eventually become My Sister Sam to their attention, in late 1985, Dauber finally found the project she had been looking for. She described herself as someone who did not identify as a natural comedian, and she wanted a show that was built around the full ensemble cast rather than centered entirely on her as a solo star. My Sister Sam was developed and produced by Pony Productions in association with Warner Brothers Television, which meant Dauber had a significant say in how the show was made from the very beginning. Fact 6. Bette Davis Eyes, singer, performed the theme.
Are you gonna drag me upstairs?
I don't know.
The opening theme to My Sister Sam, a warm and upbeat song called Room Enough for Two, was performed by Kim Carnes, an artist better known for a very different kind of sound. Carnes had become one of the most recognizable voices in pop music in 1981, when her recording of Bette Davis Eyes spent 9 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. That raspy, husky voice became one of the most distinctive sounds of the early 1980s. So hearing her deliver a soft, feel-good television theme song for a family sitcom a few years later was a bit of an unexpected turn. The theme was written by composer Steve Dorff and lyricist John Bettis, and the connection between Carnes and Dorff was personal rather than random. In an interview, Dorff explained that Carnes had done demo recordings for him earlier in his career, and the two had stayed close friends over the years. When he was brought on to create music for My Sister Sam, a project connected to executive producer Diane English at Warner Television, Dorff asked Carnes if she wanted to sing the theme, and she said yes. The song was well received, and Dorff's work on the series earned him a BMI TV Music Award in 1987. The connection between Dorff and Diane English turned out to be a lasting one. Dorff later worked with English again on Murphy Brown, the hit CBS sitcom she created shortly after My Sister Sam ended, meaning that the same composer helped set the musical tone for two of the more memorable network comedies of the late 1980s. Fact 7. San Francisco setting, but filmed. Entirely in Burbank.
Tomorrow night I said yes. What? You're going on a date?
My Sister Sam was a show built around the character and texture of San Francisco life. The main character, Samantha Russell, was a freelance photographer working in the city, living in a San Francisco apartment, navigating the rhythms of urban life there. The city was not just a backdrop, it was part of the show's identity, giving it a specific sense of place that felt different from the New York and Los Angeles settings that dominated so many other sitcoms of the era. There was just one small catch. No part of the show was actually filmed in San Francisco. Every episode of My Sister Sam was shot on studio stages at the Burbank studio in Southern California, which is located roughly 400 miles south of the city the show was supposedly set in. There was no location filming in the actual San Francisco neighborhoods that Sam was supposed to be living and working in. The Golden Gate Bridge, the hills, the cable cars, the bay? None of it ever appeared because no one from the production was up there filming any of it. This was not unusual for television sitcoms of the time. Shooting on a studio lot in the Los Angeles area was far more practical and cost-effective than sending a full production crew to another city for location work. Shows like Cheers were famously set in Boston, but filmed entirely in Hollywood. Still, it is one of those production details that feels a little odd once you know it. A show whose whole identity was tied to a specific city never once pointed a camera at that city. The San Francisco that audiences saw on My Sister Sam existed entirely on soundstages in Burbank, built and lit to suggest a place the production never actually visited. Fact 8. The future creator of Murphy Brown was its executive producer.
Very constructive and very great for me as a writer.
because you're exposed to a lot.
One of the people most responsible for bringing My Sister Sam to life was a writer and producer named Diane English, who served as executive producer on the series and co-wrote its original screenplay alongside Stephen Fisher. At the time My Sister Sam premiered in October 1986, English was a respected television professional, but she was not yet a household name in the industry. That would change very quickly. Immediately after My Sister Sam ran its course, English went on to create Murphy Brown, the CBS sitcom that premiered in the fall of 1988 and became one of the defining comedies of its era. Murphy Brown starred Candice Bergen as a sharp-tongued television journalist and ran for 10 seasons, winning numerous Emmy Awards and becoming famous enough that it attracted commentary from a sitting United States Vice President during its original run. English went from producing a solid, if short-lived, CBS sitcom to creating one of the most acclaimed comedies in network television history in the span of just a couple of years. The connection between the two shows was not entirely forgotten. When Warner Brothers released the first season of Murphy Brown on DVD, some versions of that release included a bonus disc featuring the pilot episode of My Sister Sam, packaging the two shows together in a way that acknowledged their shared lineage. The same composer, Steve Dorff, who had written the theme song for My Sister Sam, also went on to create the theme for Murphy Brown, creating a direct musical link between the two productions. English's career trajectory after My Sister Sam is one of those behind-the-scenes stories that reframes the earlier show in a slightly different light once you know where she ended up going. Fact 9. Schaefer's Woody Allen film was almost entirely cut.
Ta-da! Say goodbye to our crummy diet week. Breakfast reward.
Before Rebecca Schaefer became known to television audiences as Patty on My Sister Sam, she had secured what seemed like a meaningful career milestone, a role in a Woody Allen film. In 1986, while Schaefer was still in New York working as a model and waitress and going to auditions, she landed a small part in Allen's comedy Radio Days, which was released in 1987. The film was set in the 1940s and told a nostalgic story about a family growing up in Queens, New York, during the golden age of radio. It was the kind of critically admired, charming project that would have looked genuinely impressive on a young actress's resume. Schaefer played a character described in at least one account as a communist's daughter. And according to her own description of it in a late 1986 interview, her scenes were set in that same 1940s period and involved some light comedy. The problem was that when the editing process was complete, nearly all of her footage had been cut from the final version of the film. What remained of her performance in the released cut was one brief, barely noticeable appearance. For a young actress who had been hoping the project would give her visibility and credibility, it was a significant disappointment. She even mentioned in the same interview that the role had originally been on her resume as a credit before it became clear how little of her would actually make it into the movie. Despite the setback, the experience of auditioning for and working on a Woody Allen production had opened another door. It was through that audition process that a casting director first took serious notice of her talent, which helped contribute to the chain of events that eventually led her to My Sister Sam. Fact 10. The show was sandwiched between two hit shows on purpose.
You were in town.
But he's not. Oh, what a shame.
When CBS decided to give My Sister Sam a spot on its fall 1986 schedule, the network did not simply find an available time slot and drop the new show in. The placement was a deliberate and calculated strategy designed to give the untested series the best possible chance of succeeding right out of the gate. CBS scheduled My Sister Sam in the 8:30 to 9 o'clock time slot on Monday nights, positioning it directly between two shows that were already performing strongly for the network. Kate and Allie, which aired just before it, and Newhart, which followed immediately after. Both of those shows had established loyal audiences. By placing My Sister Sam between them, CBS was essentially funneling viewers from one popular show directly into the new one, and then handing them off to another popular show on the other side. The network's strategy also reflected a broader programming philosophy it had adopted for Monday nights. According to a CBS executive quoted in a 1986 UPI article, the network had made a conscious decision to target women between the ages of 25 and 54 for its Monday lineup, specifically women with higher income profiles who were seen as more likely to actively choose their own programming. My Sister Sam fit neatly into that strategy alongside Kate and Allie, Designing Women, and Cagney and Lacey, all of which were airing on the same night. The approach worked extremely well in the short term. My Sister Sam earned solid ratings in its first season and finished ranked 21st among all shows on television, a strong performance for a brand new series. The carefully engineered time slot did exactly what CBS had hoped it would do. Fact 11. 12 episodes vanished and were never aired on CBS.
If he has a steady girlfriend, but I could ask Dixie and find out.
I want you to find out, but
Oh, I know.
Most television viewers who followed My Sister Sam during its original run never saw nearly a third of the show's total episode count. When CBS canceled the series in May of 1988, the show had already produced a significant number of episodes for its second season that had never made it to air, and those episodes simply disappeared from the network's schedule without being broadcast. The story behind the cancellation is a little complicated. My Sister Sam had been a legitimate hit in its first season, finishing in the top 25 nationally. But CBS made a decision that many shows do not survive. It moved the show from its successful Monday night time slot to Saturday nights, putting it head-to-head against NBC's popular Saturday night comedy lineup. The result was a ratings collapse. By late October of 1987, the show had tumbled from 21st place all the way to 71st, which placed it among the lowest-rated shows on all of network television at the time. CBS pulled it from the schedule in November of that year, but kept production going while the network decided what to do. The series was actually brought back in March of 1988, partly due to viewer letters and partly because the 1988 Writers Guild of America strike had left CBS short on new programming. But ratings did not recover, and the network announced cancellation in May of that year, leaving 12 completed second season episodes with nowhere to go. Those episodes were not lost forever. After cancellation, the USA Network acquired syndication rights to the full series, eventually airing all 44 episodes, including the 12 that CBS had never shown. But audiences watching the original CBS broadcast never got to see how the second season played out. Fact 12. The stalker carried the catcher in the rye.
Hi, Vic. Hi, honey. Give me a minute to finish up, okay?
Sure.
On July 18, 1989, more than 14 months after My Sister Sam had been canceled by CBS, a 19-year-old man named Robert John Bardo traveled from Tucson, Arizona to West Hollywood, California, and shot and killed Rebecca Schaefer at the doorway of her apartment. Bardo had been obsessively fixated on the actress for 3 years, had written her numerous letters, and had twice attempted to access the set of My Sister Sam in person before being turned away by Warner Brothers security. Among the items found near the scene of the crime was a paperback copy of J.D. Salinger's novel The Catcher in the Rye, which Bardo had been carrying with him on the day of the murder. He reportedly tossed it onto the roof of a nearby building as he fled. Bardo later said his connection to the book was personal and not meant to echo anyone else, but the parallel was unavoidable. Mark David Chapman had been carrying a copy of The Catcher in the Rye when he shot and killed John Lennon outside his New York City apartment building in December of 1980. John Hinckley Jr., who attempted to assassinate President Ronald Reagan in 1981, also had ties to the novel. Bardo had actually visited the site of Lennon's murder on a trip to New York City before turning his attention back to Schaefer. The pattern of the same book appearing in connection with multiple acts of celebrity-targeted violence in the early 1980s has never been fully explained, and it has become one of the more discussed and analyzed oddities in the cultural history of that era. Whether the connections are meaningful or coincidental, the book's presence at the scene of Schaefer's murder added another layer to an already disturbing case. Fact 13. The murder prosecutor later became an O.J. Simpson icon.
Barbecue the dog.
I gotta get going too. I can't wait to sleep in a bed that's bigger than my body.
When Robert John Bardo went on trial in the fall of 1991 for the murder of Rebecca Schaefer, the Los Angeles County prosecutor assigned to handle the case was a deputy district attorney named Marcia Clark. At the time, Clark was a skilled but largely unknown courtroom attorney. Her work on the Bardo case was considered strong. She argued that Bardo had planned and premeditated the killing, countering the defense's claim that his mental illness had prevented him from forming that level of intent. Judge Dino Fulgoni sided with the prosecution. On October 29, 1991, Bardo was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Clark's performance in that case helped establish her reputation within the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office, but it did not make her famous. That would come a few years later in a way that no one could have anticipated. In the summer of 1994, a former professional football player and television personality named O.J. Simpson was charged with the murders of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend, Ron Goldman. Marcia Clark was chosen to lead the prosecution. The trial became the most watched and discussed legal proceeding in American history up to that point, running for months and eventually drawing a live television audience of over 100 million people for the verdict. Clark became one of the most recognizable faces in the country almost overnight, and her work on the case has been the subject of books, documentaries, and dramatizations ever since. The woman who prosecuted Rebecca Schaefer's murderer went on to become one of the most famous prosecutors in American legal history. Fact 14. A common misconception about the cancellation persists.
I ate the last peanut. Oh, Sam. Well, you ate the last cough drop. Well, I'm a child. I'm suffering.
Ask many people why My Sister Sam was canceled, and a good number of them will tell you it was because Rebecca Schaefer was murdered. It is a logical assumption. The show starred Schaefer, she was killed, and the show is gone. But this version of events gets the timeline completely wrong, and the actual story is far less dramatic in its cause, even if the broader circumstances surrounding the show are anything but. My Sister Sam was canceled by CBS in May of 1988. Rebecca Schaefer was murdered on July 18, 1989. That is a gap of more than 14 months between the end of the show and her death. The cancellation had absolutely nothing to do with what happened to her, because what happened to her had not yet occurred when the show was ended. The real reason for the cancellation was a straightforward one. The ratings collapsed after CBS moved the show from its successful Monday night time slot to Saturday nights in the fall of 1987. The network placed it in direct competition with NBC's strong Saturday lineup, and audiences did not follow the show to its new home. My Sister Sam went from ranking 21st nationally at the end of its first season to ranking 71st within weeks of the move, a drop of 50 positions. CBS pulled it from the air temporarily, brought it back in March of 1988, when the Writers Guild of America strike created a gap in programming, moved it again to Tuesday nights, and ultimately announced the cancellation in May. It was a casualty of a bad scheduling decision, not a tragedy. The tragedy came later, after the show was already gone, and the two events are separate, even though they are often remembered together. Fact 15. The show accidentally helped create America's anti-stalking laws.
You don't even know if you could sell one of those things.
But if I can,
Then I'll make you the shirt.
great.
The murder of Rebecca Schaefer did not just end a life, It set off a chain of legal and legislative changes in the United States that have affected the privacy and safety of millions of people ever since. The specific details of how Robert John Bardo found Schaefer's home address became central to the public conversation that followed her death. And those details turned out to have consequences far beyond the case itself. Bardo hired a private detective agency in Tucson, Arizona, and paid them $250 to locate Schaefer's home address. The detective contacted the California Department of Motor Vehicles, provided her name, and the DMV handed over her private residential address without any meaningful barrier or restriction. That information, obtained so easily through a government database, led directly to Schaefer's door and to her death. The public outrage that followed was immediate and significant. California passed the nation's first anti-stalking law in 1990, a direct legislative response to Schaefer's murder. The new law made stalking a criminal offense and created a framework for law enforcement to act before violence occurred rather than only after. Other states followed, and today every state in the country has some form of anti-stalking legislation on the books. The issue of the DMV records was also addressed at the federal level. In 1994, the United States Congress passed the Driver's Privacy Protection Act, which prohibited state DMV offices from disclosing the personal information of residents, including home addresses, to private parties. The law that Bardo exploited to find Schaefer no longer exists in the form it did in 1989. A sitcom that most people had already forgotten about by the time of the murder left behind a legal legacy that still shapes privacy protections in America today.